Kyrie Irving and the Cavaliers getting set to work. And Kyrie now has a backup point guard with more All-Star appearances than he has, which is an interesting dynamic in Cleveland. Champs getting set to go to work for the third time this season. Cavs have won both meetings so far. Back on November 3rd, LeBron James went for 30 points, 7 boards, 12 assists. The Cavs moves to 5-0 on the young season with a 128-122 win. Then on December 29th, LeBron had 8 turnovers, not his best night. He did have 23 points, but Kyrie Irving went for 32 as the Cavs won 124-118. Kevin Love, by the way, averaged 28 over those 2 games, but of course will not be available tonight or anytime soon for the Cavaliers, who have put it to the C's so far this season, averaging 126 points per game on 50% shooting and more than 26 assists per game in those 2, most against any team so far this season. And now they have a new assist man coming off the bench in Darren Williams.
I just feel like I can help this team win, and whatever my role is, that'll figure itself out over the course of the next couple months, in the regular season and then, on into the playoffs. And so, I haven't really talked about like a number of minutes or anything like that, but just I know I can help this team win.
He's going to be our backup PG, and he's going to run the show. We got a 2-man group, with Kai and D-Will now, and guys going to run the show and get guys in position, put guys in position, to be successful.
Yeah, we're pretty deep, and the biggest thing is just trying to get everyone to mesh together and who plays well together and who doesn't. So that's going to be the biggest challenge the next few weeks, especially getting JR back and then when Kevin comes back. So it's going to be a process, but I'm pretty sure we can figure it out.
Let's get more from Jared Greenberg, who joins us with more from Boston tonight. And Jared, before we get to the Cavaliers and Celtics, you were in Washington last night when Kevin Durant was injured. The Warriors learned today, of course, he'll miss at least 4 weeks with a knee injury. Based on what you saw and heard last night, is that diagnosis better or worse than they were thinking?
Well, Matt, I'm sure as you've been hearing all day long, it was an eerie scene in the Warriors locker room last night. You really didn't know what to think. Steve Kerr was selling us on the fact that it was too soon because he hadn't even spoken with the medical staff yet, and Durant was just first going to the hospital to learn what was going on. But as Bob Myers told some of the local Warrior reporters today, the general manager of the team, this is the best case scenario of what they could have found out today. Certainly, they didn't want to have to go through a whole playoff run without him, and now it appears, as you said, we'll get a reevaluation in 4 weeks and find out if he's able to come back and rejoin the team for the start of the playoffs with 6 weeks remaining from tonight.
As for the team, they faced 2 straight times in the finals. The team you'll see tonight in Boston, they fortified their bench the last couple of days. Andrew Bogut is set to join the team, and Darren Williams is set to make his debut tonight for the Cavaliers. Any sense of how Tyronn Lue is going to deploy him? Will he be primarily on the ball, off the ball, paired with LeBron? What's his role going to be?
I think a little bit of everything, and Matt, that was a big topic of conversation earlier this morning at shoot-around, and Darren Williams, as you mentioned, as celebrated of a career as he's had, the Olympics, the All-Star Games, the conversation as the best point guard in the league at one point in his career with Chris Paul. He now is accepting of a role of coming off the bench, and you got to understand here, too, he's going to be trying to prove to the other 29 teams that he deserves a contract and deserves a starting job, so he wants to be a big teammate here. And Darren Williams talked about playing with LeBron as the primary point guard with the second unit, or playing with Kyrie Irving both on and off the ball, and he really stressed, which is important to Tyronn Lue, that he can guard either the 1 or 2 position. And of course, with Boston having a bit of a smaller lineup with Avery Bradley back at the starting 2-guard position, we'll see what happens there with some of the matchups today. But guys, it's funny, last segment I heard you talking about the Sixers and the process. I feel like there was some sort of game going on at shoot-around this morning because LeBron and Tyronn Lue made sure to work the word-in process to almost every sentence that they had this morning when talking about the final stretch run here.
Jared, speaking of the process, you got a chance, like you said, to see shoot-around. Can you give us any update on J.R. Smith? Because it looks like he's getting closer to being ready.
Well, yeah, he was actually almost ran into me right here. He was just out here. He's finally first starting to join the team on the road with this game here. And if you were checking out his Instagram account early this morning, he was not happy that he had to go to spin class to help him get back in shape. So JR probably another week or so away at the very least, but he is much closer to getting back. And as you mentioned, you get J.R. Smith, and once Andrew Bogut gets officially announced, he's cleared waivers, but not officially on the Cavs roster just yet.
Jared, do you sense now, with all that's going on, that there's any sense of closure for LeBron James and what he was talking about, wanting another playmaker, wanting extra bodies, extra help? Is that done now? Are they good in LeBron's eyes and ready to go for the playoffs?
It certainly seems so. You compare the bench from Game 7 last year, in which they won an epic finals matchup, to the bench on opening night of this season, to what it is now. You've got guys that could start on playoff caliber teams coming off the bench on a team that has the expectations of winning a championship and nothing less. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how they make it all mesh, because as Tyronn Lue stressed today to us, you can have all the talent you want, but unless you figure out how to use it and they know how to buy into the system they're trying to run, it's not going to work out. So I think they're really, and let's, Sekou, we talked about a lot of this too on 10 Before Tip the last few weeks. It's not as much for a finals rematch again with the Warriors. Those bench pieces might be vital to winning another title, but most importantly, getting it so LeBron and Kyrie could maybe take some games off, can lessen the load on their shoulders from here over the final 6 weeks of the season, which they weren't able to do the last couple of months.
24 games left down the stretch to integrate all these new parts and bring back Kevin Love at some point, presumably, excuse me, to all work together. Jared Greenberg with us from Boston. We'll see Jared tomorrow night in his 10 Before Tip tour from Chicago.